and first pick. SK is going to have, obviously, second pick with 2 rounds of pickups. And El Nexo, real quick to pull the trigger on that Illidan ban, don't want to deal with the Angsty Demon Hunter.
And if this is not a Sergeant Hammer ban, you can almost guarantee it's going to be a Sergeant Hammer pickup from El Nexo as their first pick. It's like their position 1 carry. They say, we value this more than any other hero, and we have seen it time and again as the first pick material. When they don't get first pick, it gets banned, and they just go for a Vala instead. But SK Gaming, they got to put a ban up on the board, and now they're already actually eating into their pool time as they don't know what they want to get rid of. Will they be the ones to ban out the Sergeant Hammer? Do they not want to deal with that from El Nexo? Would it be a Chen, an Uther, a Malfurion? El Nexo really does favor out the Druid from World of Warcraft.
I mean, if they ban out the Sergeant Hammer, El Nexo gets a Vala. If they ban a Vala, El Nexo gets the Sergeant Hammer. But no, they're going to ban out the Zeratul. And we have seen some great Zeratul plays today. But El Nexo, I actually don't think I've seen them play Zeratul quite yet. And there it is, Sean. You called it. The Sergeant Hammer being picked up, and El Nexo, as I mentioned, their play style is a stand your ground sort of play style. I haven't really seen them play any aggressive lineups with like a Diablo Illidan or dive heavy compositions. They're like, you come to us, we're gonna slowly siege, and the big recipe, the main ingredient in that recipe is making sure you have a strong backline, and that's exactly what Sergeant Hammer provides.
Yeah, it was very good at backbone, especially on a lot of these maps. I mean, she might not be the most mobile of heroes, but she will be able to start pushing down lanes when other people go off to do tribute fights. She has a really good lane presence, especially past level 10 with that repeat spam of the napalm. So this is also something that we bring up time and again. With first pick hammer, you can craft a counter hammer team. And SK Gaming already going to be taking up Stitches, so now we have to deal with hook pressure. But there is a Zeratul ban, so that's a saving presence here from El Nexo. Other things that you can do is pick up Nazibos. You can definitely do some Ravenous work into that backline. You can pick up Zagaras for mods, instant mods. They're fun times. We already got the hooks up there. Mirrodins have been known to jump in. And at the same time, Kerrigans can actually just really lock them up. Probably not going to see those last 2, but I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of it all we saw the Zagara.
I really like that Vala pickup because a Sergeant Hammer and a Vala on the same team is a backline that is probably the strongest ranged duo that you can have in the game at any given time. So SK Gaming was going, all right, do we want to get the Stitches Tyrande, which is just a very strong pick-off composition from the moment the gates drop. The presence of the Stitches in Tyrande really forces the enemy team, in this case El Nexo, if they were to get that, forces the enemy team to always feel threatened by hook into a Lunar Flare because it's so much damage, any sort of follow-up whatsoever, unless it's someone like really tanky, intrinsically tanky, like a Diablo or a Muradin or anything like that. Generally, that person is going to die if no support is immediately around. El Nexo, getting their front line in, the ETC, and there's the Witch Doctor, man. There it is, the foundation which they have been building for them every single match, and with the Witch Doctor and the Sergeant Hammer in the backlines, that is a big, strong range, sustained damage with strong push.
I would, if El Nexo is actually going to keep going the way that they're going, this is going to be a Chen Malfurion pickup on the last 2 picks because they have repeatedly shown us such great synergy with the double tank, the 1 healer, and that double siege back line. It's quite the day that the double siege take over any kind of other roles in terms of the assassins. And having now not only the immobile Sergeant Hammer, but a Ravenous to deal with, we could actually snipe out the Chen right here, pick up a Diablo. You also now see the Tyrande there as well. That's going to be great for sniping out not only, the siege mode, but the Ravenous Spirit is now going to be on point. This also means that El Nexo might actually opt to go Uther instead of Malf with that stun pressure there.
They have been putting so much emphasis on the Malfurion. So there it is, the Uther being taken out by SK, knowing that a cleanse
not even giving him a chance.
Exactly. Knowing that a cleanse is really what disables the threat of a Tyrande Stitches. Right. So they're going to take that away from them. El Nexo could still get a Brightwing if they want, but I don't know if that will really play into the game plan that El Nexo has. It looks like they're just staying with what's tried and true for them. And more than likely, I feel like we're going to see a Malfurion pickup, and then after that, maybe a secondary warrior. And nope, it's going to be a Tassadar. Real quick, the big 1-2. So Tassadar is a strong backliner. That is a backline. That is a just such a strong backline there. Tassadar, Witch Doctor, Sergeant Hammer, the utility coming from the Tassadar. Tassadar is pretty much a guaranteed free lane of experience. It's extremely hard to gank him as long as he has decent reaction times. Even if he gets hooked, he's gonna be able to dimensional shift, shield himself up, mitigate the damage, and get to the safety of his gate by the time he goes down.
So, yeah, I keep saying you could easily craft an anti-hammer team. This is one of the bigger anti-hammer compositions that I've ever seen in my life. Hook pressure, Rain of Vengeance pressure, hook into Tyrande stun, the Divine, the Fist of Justice. I'm thinking, there's no Chen here for El Nexo. They did opt to go with the Tassadar. So that's double healing ward. What do we like to see here on the EU side of things? Well, Chen could definitely be a good disruption comp, but they're going to go even further with that. They're going to take a Jaina. So Jaina with the range, with the damage, with the water elemental, I mean, there is such control afforded to SK here.
There really is. So this is definitely a very polarizing team. On one end, you have El Nexo doing what they have been doing the majority of this tournament. And from what I have seen, the majority of other tournaments that they've played in, and that is establishing a kind of stand your ground tactic where we are going to set ourselves, we're going to get ourselves entrenched into a optimal position, and from there slowly push forward. And if you think you can come fight us, then by all means, come and fight us. But SK took that invitation. They RSVP'd quick because looking at the lineup that they have, a Stitches hook into a Tyrande Hunter's Mark Lunar Flare, followed up by the burst damage coming out from a Jaina, and the supplemented that with the stuns of an Uther, the damage from a Vala. If anyone gets hooked and stuck in a Lunar Flare, and if Jaina is around, has anything to say about it, that right there is going to be one dead nerd. So I'm really looking forward to which team comes out on this. It's all positioning is imperative for both of these teams. El Nexo needs to find a very good position to keep themselves entrenched. SK needs to thread the needle of Stitch's hook in between that entrenched position and try to hook someone out of position and pick them off.
Yep. So we might actually be seeing SK going for some earlier roam then, if that's the case. El Nexo definitely looks a little bit more inflexible. I mean, you have the double siege, which might actually end up being a party lane there to go with the Malfurion. But Tassadar and an ETC in the others, that's definitely very possible. Might still a 2-1-2 split, though, from El Nexo. If it is going to be a roam going back and forth, you might want to protect those other lanes. But still, Hook, Tyrande, and Jaina, that is a terrifying early game roam. If they do actually try to opt to do some ganking in that regard. Uther can hold down a line. Stitches can hold down a line if he needs to. Vala can also go into the lane with Sergeant Hammer, just try to keep them at bay for that early game pressure. And, again, Cursed Hollow. This is the map that made Stitches the #1 in NA.
Yes. All of those nook and crannies that you can just hook people and just drop that sinker and take people out. The tributes as well, obviously, anyone who tries to channel the tributes grants a vision as well. So it's going to be easy pickings for this Stitches in this match right here, especially if Uther decides to go with the Clairvoyance, though. More than likely, we're going to see the cleanse coming out of him at level 7. That's probably going to be the more optimal choice for him to pick up.
We have no cleanse, no stun protection from El Nexo.
Yeah, which is something that definitely could have utilized, but they're going to have to find other means to help mitigate all the stuns and control that SK has available to them. Because, I mean, looking at the Malfurion, he can protective shield himself up, but besides that, if Malfurion gets hooked, he's more than likely going to go down. He's definitely going to be one of the prime targets, as well as the Witch Doctor too.
I was going to say
100%
ice block.
Yeah, I was just about to say, yeah, level 13, we're more than likely going to see an ice block. ETC obviously has power slide, face melt. Tassadar has dimensional shift. Nazebo is going to be a very susceptible target to this strategy as well. So I'll be surprised if they put Nazebo in a solo lane, because putting Nazebo in a solo lane against this sort of composition is not going to work out very well. We're probably going to see a tri lane in their boss lane in tandem with maybe the Malfurion as well as the Sergeant Hammer.
Still waiting for the players here to ready up, guys. But once more, we're here. Enter the Storm, sponsored out by Alien Roadcap, powered by Gosugamers. I'm the Forecourt Jester. With me here has been Shane Gucher this entire weekend. I mean, yeah, came off a little weak yesterday, but the server, it had its Wheaties, it had its medicine, it's back to full power. And Barrel Boys got all the way up to about the 3rd, 4th place. They got all the way through the semis despite the leg. The NA represent. I would fully expect to see more NA teams going to be making the trek over here. Tempo Storm very easily could be making around, and you only need top 2 placement. You just need top 2 to get a chance at the $3,000 prize pool to be divided up in April.
I know that a lot of the North American teams are trying to get their full roster set up on Europe, and there's a lot more to getting a full roster cross region. And whether you're going from Europe to North America or vice versa, North America to Europe, and it's all about you have to buy the heroes all over again, so it costs a lot of money because you can't just simply grind that gold. That takes a very long period of time. You have to use your actual money to get the heroes you want to play. You have to get them to level 4 in order to get all of their talents. There's a lot of time and a lot of money involved in getting that cross regionality to opened up to the point where you feel comfortable competing in a tournament. Obviously, Barrow Boys have done the grind. I mean, they got real far in the tournament, but unfortunately, with that handicap that they experienced with the latency, they weren't able to get all the way to the finals here today. But ladies and gentlemen, the first game of the finals for the qualifiers for Into the Storm, sponsored by Alienware and Rocket. Thank you so much to our sponsors for helping us out with this tournament. Thank you so much to Gosugamers organizing and administrating it. Nothing but the best for everyone involved here. We can't wait to get this game underway. Let's introduce these teams, Sean.
All right, Blue Hand side. We haven't seen them personally here for a while, but they were the big stars over on our Russian counterpart stream. It is SK Gaming. Bakery, Zarmany, Rave, going to be here into the top lane looking fly. Snitch on perhaps the worst horse in existence, but Araragi on that Wonder Belly into the bottom.
And ladies and gentlemen, the right side of your lane. Let's start at the top and then head down to the bottom. Falcon playing a hero which he has been playing so very well the majority of this tournament. Is going to be playing that Sergeant Hammer. Tassadar is going to be played by Tassadar, aka Vortex. Malfurion being played by Grand Black Scorp playing the Witch Doctor. And then ETC is going to be played by Lucifron. Those 5 members of that team are going to sum up.
A hero has left the battle.
El Nexo. And we're remaking.
Yay, remaking. Woo.
Looks like there was a little bit of lag out, and maybe there was a talent.
Good game, boys. Easy win.
GG.
Celebrating early, dancing amongst the towers in the top.
So we're gonna remake real quick, guys, and we'll get into the match here in just a moment. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be just a minute.
Yeah, it won't. It won't actually take that long. I'm just going to manually exit. Yeah, there we go. Blue team is now a 1. We're going to get back into this as well. And, I mean, we've talked a lot about a lot of these team comps, but already it looked like it was going to be a setup there for the party lane for the double siege into the bottom from... Might game just crash? Maybe.
You have to in order when you're in there and you exit, you have to actually completely exit out of the game. There's no other option. Yeah.
Really?
So just reload the game real quick if you can.
Really? Fair. All right, fine. Either way, it did look like it was a party lane going to be set up, but I still suspect we're going to be seeing SK roaming around. And there we go. Back into it. That was really strange. In fact, they're all offline. That's great. All right. We will have that back up in just a moment. I'd rather not go to a break, to be honest.
Agreed. I know. I see SK is already together. Their lineup is already together. Just waiting for the lobby to take shape here, guys. But we can talk about the draft a little bit. And I like it because both teams have clear-cut ideologies about the groundwork, the fundamentals of what they do in their draft and how they play with their draft. And these teams have very contrasting ideologies. It's, there's no reaching across the table here, ladies and gentlemen. These guys know what they want, and they're going to go and get it. SK has a very heavy, aggressive pickoff composition, and El Nexo has a very heavy stand your ground, slowly push, and invite them to fight into you. So it's kind of this dance between initiation, counter initiation, and it's all, again, it's imperative on positioning. Positioning is always important in Heroes of the Storm, but when you have this sort of dichotomy going on right now in the matchup and just the big separation of the two strategies involved, the positioning is even more imperative than it normally is.
Well, it's 2 different styles. When they clash, who's going to be coming out on top? I mean, El Nexo, we've seen it time and again. They might lose out a few of these heroes to this roam. They might start losing out the tributes, but they always bounce back. They have yet to actually lose an entire series, let alone a game. As of yet, today, in all of our best of 1s and all of our best of 3s, they have come out 1-0, 2-0. They're here into the finals. They are already guaranteed into the grands. It could just go really a huge swing because that's what we see time and time again. It's really up to SK to, if they do get that lead, it's going to be really up to them to make sure that they can maintain and capitalize on it. And I'm not too sure they can do that. They struggled against Beat Your Bakers for a 2-1. They struggled against the boys across the ocean in the barrel for a 2-1. Can they actually bring a game against El Nexo?
Many teams have come so close to breaking El Nexo. El Nexo is a team, they bend, they bend, they bend, they don't break. And once you push them far enough, once they hit that level 16 and level 20, that rubber band that they've been pulling back and pulling back, trying to break, just snaps right back on them. And El Nexo just comes out in force in the late game. And that is really what has been carrying them all the way up to this moment right here. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are actually back into the match. Already really introduced the teams. So you guys know them. You guys love them. And thank you so much for your support, guys. This is going to be a great match.
I'm just trying to load up the team rankings here. Where does the Nexo end off? Well, it looks like 5th overall, right behind Tempo Storm, Maelstrom, Tomorrow Big, who we've already seen today. I don't not know that they were actually up in 3rd. LDLC and then El Nexo. So, I mean, it is one of the powerhouse matches here. If you can go up against El Nexo, you're going up against some of the best in Europe. You can really use that to figure out, you know, if you're any good or not. But SK Gaming getting all the way into the finals, we know that they're a quality team. And, you know, again, it's going to be up to them to take a match.
Ladies and gentlemen, get hyped. The gates are down. This game is underway. The best of 3 between these two teams to determine who gets the better seed in the qualifier for this tournament. Very excited to see how it pans out here. There is the Uther and the Tyron about to blow up to some mines. So it looks like Uther and Tyron, Jaina hanging out top lane. That is one hell of a lane. Jaina can really push the waves down with Blizzard. And Tyron can kill anyone that tries to get near. Looks like we're not going to see any roaming. No Tyron Stitches roaming, at least not right now, Sean.
Maybe I gave it away.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're totally stream sniping. The the Stitches versus ETC. Both those heroes have really good sustain. Definitely might be a little bit of a watch as long as they don't make any big misplays. The Vala versus the Tassadar can be a wash as well. The Vala should be able to push the lane in a little bit. I don't think we'll see too much pressure on the tier 1 maps in the mid lane. It's all about this top lane right now. It's a Mexican standoff 3v3.
So, I mean, we have double stun, we got the slows, the blizzards, the damage increases not only with the Hunter's Mark, but the chill as well. I mean, you can see Black Scorp just immediately dropping down in chunks. Gran will be able to heal him back up. We also got the fountain there ready to go, so Scorp will be back to full power. He also has his passive taken away. Everything he kills will heal him up and bring him mana. But yeah, Falcon's like, I'm too wise to this. I'm throwing all my mines into that bush, and Rave will not be able to get this this hook, this stun that he wants.
So right now, this lane is about even as even can get. It's sitting right there at the line of scrimmage in the middle of the lane. These teams are just exchanging blows, but no one getting knocked out quite yet. Falcon taking a Hammer Justice into a Lunar Flare, but he's going to get healed right on up by the Malfurion, get innervated, and innervate that mana battery. That is Malfurion really just makes this Witch Doctor be able to push into lanes. And now these guys are going to rotate. They hit level 4. Look at this timing. Nice, crisp, and intentional. Hit level 4, rotate to the Bruisers, and hopefully a Tribute will spawn right as they get this, which will put much more pressure into the lanes.
30 seconds till that first Tribute warning. Yeah. It's either 10 seconds. Okay, so it's 30 seconds until the actual Tribute. My mistake. But it is going to be top, and top is where we do have a lot of the power here centered for El Nexo. Rave is going to come see that these bruisers are actually on blast, but there's not much he himself is going to be able to do about it because, you know, the two lovely ladies he was escorting went off and did the Stone Bros. This easy. Now Rave is actually going to be the one that gets collapsed upon. Falcon trying to get in there with that concussive into the zombie wall. Doesn't quite land the combo, but we got bruisers pushing down the mid. We got the golems pushing up the top. The giants, that is. And no big pressure so far for that Tribute.
Both these teams have a lot of poke, definitely can do a lot of poke and soak, but right now this is favoring. The longer this is delayed, it's going to favor El Nexo, as there's a Witch Doctor in the middle with a Bruiser camp. And if SK are not able to secure this Tribute any short amount of time, then they're going to get behind very, very soon. Snitch is having to rotate down to mid lane to try to deal with the push coming in. The Tribute is just dirt. Yeah, El Nexo is doing a really good job at delaying this with Moonfire spam, with the range coming up from Sergeant Hammer, and from the Psionic Storms coming up from this Tassadar.
Now, having Falcon here as well means that he's part of this fight. He's not off split pushing anywhere. Bottom lane, as we said, is, you know, it's the wet noodle fight. It's the wash. Nothing's really going to happen there. We have the Witch Doctor coming up. He's going to rotate. This will put us with a 4v3 advantage. El Nexo poised to take a kill here on top of Rave if they can punch through all that healing, the healing ward in the bush. Doing some really big work there, keeping Zarmany and Rave up, but I think that they have done it. The front line is enough, and they put themselves with a Tribute in their pocket here at the 4-minute mark.
Meanwhile, bottom lane, Aragi has been doing a lot of work. These towers are out of ammo. The lane is pushed in. That tier 1 tower is definitely poised to be going down here at any moment. Lucifron is doing everything he can to stay here, try to ward off this push, and try to maybe do a little bit of harassment damage, but unfortunately, that stitches with the Regen Master, and his Devour is just gives him too much disdain for this ETC to handle. And that is definitely a big advantage going the way of SK Gaming if they're able to get that tower. They do get it, small experience advantage, and look, they're having to rotate Falcon down here, forcing a response out of El Nexo, and that is really that's such a just good play right there for them to be able to keep sustained lane soak in the bottom lane.
The problem is that even with that Regen Master, or with, sorry, not even with, but with that Regen Master from Stitches, Sergeant Hammer's not going to be able to push in on this. She might have superior wave clear, but she herself did go, of course, advanced artillery, has the one use first aid ready to go, and the tribute's not even top again. It's in this bottom lane. So she might be able to push out, but Araragi has really impressed me as a solo warrior pusher, not only with Chens, but now with the Stitches. He single-handedly, you know, won the fight, forced ETC out of lane. He pushed in against the towers. They got all that ammo down, and it doesn't look like El Nexo is really willing to deal with this four-man group into this bottom. So they let that tribute go. That will give us a little bit of freedom here for Falcon, but again, like, he's not really going to get a lot done down here.
Level 10 on the horizon for both of these teams. I think we're going to see some standard stuff coming across the board. But one thing I want to talk about is this Jaina build, kind of the mini gun, the Gatling gun build, if you will.
We saw this a bit earlier, and you had some words.
It's if you get Icy Veins at level 13, which is definitely a big risk because you give up sprint, and Jane is so reliant on having the survivability to sprint. But even without Icy Veins, with the level 1 talent, which increases the range, level 4 talent, which makes it pierce through more than one person, and then the big one is Ice Lance at level 7, which decreases the cooldown by 2 seconds if it hits a chilled target, which basically means, I mean, Frostbolt on its own has a 4-second cooldown. So if you're able to get those 2-second Frostbolts, hit multiple targets with it, it does a huge amount of single target damage, which is interesting because normally Jaina, we see that kind of AoE burst build, and this is a little bit of a different build. It still has a lot of burst build into it, but it seems to be a little bit more of a skill shot build, but if you're able to get those skill shots off, it can be much more reliable.
Lucifron just is going to definitely sidestep that gank into the top, and immediately the top lane is just going to go out. Wow! We actually had a kill there from the Ravenous in the mid. I did not see Vala actually getting ganked that far back in her base, but a few of the heroics now already down. We do got the Starfall fallen. We got Healing Ward and the Tranquility. It's not enough to keep the Nazebo out. Here comes Lucifron from that top with the stage dive, and they are going to turn this right back around on top of Rave as best as they can, but Uther once more will walk away, and I'm not entirely too sure we're going to see the same here from Lucifron, but it looks like Bakery is out of juice. That extra long range, that minigun mentality of his that you're talking about, not going to be there. While all that happened, Falcon bottom lane cleans up the gate, gets himself the tribute, and starts pushing in.
So even though El Nexo lost someone in that team fight, a lot of heroics were forced out. More importantly, as you mentioned, Falcon pushed down bottom lane. Now they have a level 13 advantage, a 2-level advantage for a small period of time. So even with that kill, they're still in a very favorable position. We are officially in the mid game. And Tassadar, once again, is going this build. We saw it before on Sky Temple. With the Distortion build at level 13, the level 1, he went with the Psy Infusion to help him with his Sustain, which ultimately means he'll be going with that Double Storm at level 16. Yeah. So it's got good snares on it. Yeah, he's pretty much a fighting Tassadar with a little bit more utility with the Distortion Beam. That extra snare can really be the difference between getting a gank and not getting a gank.
So we got more Siege Giants going to be marching down lanes. Some Bruiser camps are available, but that's a very juicy looking tribute. We have the positioning here from El Nexo. Bottom lane is continually being pushed in. Araragi, Zarmini, Snitch. They're not making any moves to this top. They might be able to delay it out a little bit with a Tyrande Owl, but I think they're just going to try to swap out as best as they can. They're clearing the way. They're letting this boss do the work, but they're going to get cursed. And there it is. Falcon gets it. We got our own boss now pushing down the top. Lucifron is going to try to clear the way as best as he can. And the defense is going to be coming out strong here from El Nexo. And that's not where you want to be when it comes to your curse.
Oh man, but look at this. They are able to get that $1 million dream coil off. There's a Ravenous Spirit on top of Zarmony. He's got to be careful. A lot of heals coming in, but good lord, the amount of damage that El Nexo just put out right there was enough to take out the Tyranna this whole entire duration. Jaina is not in the fight because she is up in the top lane trying to deal with this Golem who already took the gate down, is poised to take down these tier 2 towers. Mid lane is pushing in as well. That fort's dead to rights, and that is the last outlane fort, as this one in the bottom lane is also going to go down. So SK Gaming has all of their outer map vision taken away from them. The tributes are going to be a free pickin' for El Nexo with a curse going down, and now they're going to be on the cusp of level 16, rotating to SK Gaming's Bruiser camp.
This top golem has just been starting to get, pecked away by Bakery, but he's not really doing the big sustain that he needs to. He's great for the burst, but the sustain is very costly in terms of the mana. And finally, it will drop. That curse did a really good clear for it. They got themselves the entire top gate. They got that 16 hype you were just talking about. The Bruisers now go the way of El Nexo, and they're looking for this gate. They're going to get it. Vortex might have bounced off that gate a bit too hard, but he still will go down. Raid will be the trade out as Black Scorp is in the back. Falcon is now running, has that first aid popping. We got a Water Elemental in there now as well, but the stuns, the slows, the blizzard was really big right there from Bakery, but he gets locked up from Lucifron. That's going to be a kill. The hook on top of Falcon is enough. Black Scorp is going to drop as well from the double on top of Araragi. I can say it again and again. He's really impressing me on his warrior game, and he will try to take out Grand, will not. Lucifron in the back does take out the Vala instead. And now will they actually bring down Stitches? Because it doesn't look like they got it.
Oh man, that hook off the mark probably wouldn't have killed Lucifron. His power slide was just coming off a cooldown, but a very even exchange that's slightly going to favor El Nexo right there. Looking at what can they capitalize on with the very small power play they have available to them. The Bruiser camp is going to get cleaned up right here by Vortex. Their own Siege Ogres in the bottom lane are available to pick up as well. They can't make any real aggressive, rotations because they simply just don't have the resources with the amount of heroes that are down and the fact that there's no mercenary camps to be taken advantage of. So ETC is going to do what any smart ETC does with Stage Dive, go to the faraway lane where the enemy team is not showing on the map, push that lane in, get more map pressure on it, and just try to, and then once there is a team fight, you just Stage Dive in.
It's really interesting to see, just the differences again across the pond. We see Jaina's, but a lot of the time we see Jaina's, pick up Icy Vein, Sprint, Ice Blonde, something a bit more defensive, but also they really go for Frostbite, but who cares about that now?
Yeah, it's, oh wow, actually this team fight right here in the mid lane. But Vortex has to be so very careful. He's got to use the Dimensional Shift. He doesn't have the heal though. So he's going to have to go hit the fountains. Archon has been used. Tranquility's been used. A lot of heroics have been forced out by every single one of these sides, but no one has gone down quite yet. Level 16 talents are here for both teams. However, El Nexo is definitely in the favorable position to get level 20 long before that of SK Gaming. Another tribute is going to spawn right here by this location. Look at the mercenary camps. The boss is going to be up here in about 40 seconds. The Bruiser camp in a minute and a half. There's a good likelihood that whoever gets this tribute might be able to get the boss on the west side of the map.
Oh man, I can't even complete the thought. Black Scorp gets hooked and destroyed. Back up against the trees and nowhere to go. That's a bushwhack if I've ever seen one. But level 18 for those talents. I mean, sure, we are on the even talents. We got the man advantage now here from SK. We still have a Rain of Vengeance ready to go. Snitch, you need to throw it down, buddy. You need to secure this tribute. Get that second one in the pocket. Look for that curse next round. And with that man advantage, I mean, they should be able to easily outzone this. Even the Siege Tank at this point will not have that advanced Lava Strike. And ooh, that hook could have been deadly. So to finish the thought on Jaina, we see the Ice Bolts and we see the Blizzard. Usually what we're used to here is the Sprint and then 16 with the damage vulnerability. We like to really go for Frostbites.
Yeah.
And instead of Frost Bolts, we like to go for that Cone of Cold damage vulnerability. This is a very different build than I'm used to here from Bakery.
All right, so El Nexo, we're looking to get ourselves in a position to pick up the boss. The boss has been picked up by SK Gaming, but can they get a reprisal kill onto this Uther? Uther is going to go down. Divine Storm is up, though, and they have to take that into consideration now. A 2-4-0 exchange. There's the Divine Storm. Might be a little bit too late. Vortex having to use that shield to keep himself put down. The Vala, the Rain of Vengeance is not enough.
She parted the sea right there and made a path for them.
And that is going to enable El Nexo to get a big power play of 5v2. They can get this Bruiser camp if they so desire, but that is not part of their desires. They're going to get this mid keep. Another tribute is spawning right by their Bruiser camp. And like I said, man, the late game where El Nexo thrives. They are proving me right. They actually look like they might be diving the core, and I actually think they definitely have they're in a position where they can do this. 15 seconds for the Demon Hunter, 10 for the Turon, 8 for the Reaper.
We have no stuns to stop that Ravenous. There goes the entire shield. Level 19, not quite 20 for the Storm Tears, but we got the healing ward going down. Gran healing himself up. Falcon is off to the edge, and that will be game number 1 as El Nexo took control of this game early, defeated the lanes very handily. I will give it to Araragi once more. Very impressive warrior solo play. He can really do things in lanes that I've never really seen other warriors do, but by the end of it, it wasn't enough. And El Nexo will take game number 1 of the finals here for Cup number 1, Enter the Storm.
Well played by them. They're showing why they've come to the finals of the